Welcome to Off Brand by CocoKind. I'm Priscilla Tsai, CocoKind's founder and CEO, and each week I get into the real, unfiltered side of building a brand alongside our community and creating substantive beauty products. We don't believe in trying to be anyone but ourselves, and we don't think you should either. So come along as we get real and imperfect, go deeper on topics most beauty companies won't, and get a bit off brand. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Off Brand by CocoKind. It has been a while. I know that. You know that. I'm trying to think about what to say about that. And I'll tell you that the truth is, I have been just very stretched thin. That I guess should have come to no surprise. But earlier this year, there were just so many things that we were doing as a brand. I have a lot going on, and it became really hard for me to figure out how do we set aside time for the podcast, especially since, I'm showing up on the social channels in other ways. And I have been struggling with time, just feeling a little bit overwhelmed. And because of that, the podcast has honestly felt to the side a little bit. So when we talked about it as a brand, we decided that this podcast, instead of it being every 2 weeks, we would reserve it for big moments we're having as a brand, or times where maybe I have something more to say about something you're seeing on social, but we're just going a little bit deeper on. So that's kind of how I'm deciding to evolve the podcast. I appreciate everybody who's been asking about the podcast or a new episode. Appreciate the patience. People have been really understanding. I also appreciate people still being here and listening to it, because I know that there are a lot of podcasts and we are showing up and we are putting out a lot of social content too. So appreciate you being here and wanting to have a little bit of a deeper dive into what's going on behind CocoKind. And right now, we actually have a lot going on. We have so much happening. So this week, we actually announced 9 people who are coming with us to Miami. That is going to be, oh my gosh, our 5th brand trip, which is absolutely wild to think that we've done this 5 times over the past year and a half. We actually got the most amount of applicants. I said this on TikTok the other day, but we actually got the most amount of applicants we have ever received, which was really wild. I thought that the Olipop trip was going to be our most ever, just because it's like 2 brands coming together, and we got a ton of applications for that. But it really was this brand trip where we got thousands and thousands of applications. And that was really, really exciting to see. But as it was happening and we were getting all these applications, we were getting really, really nervous of like, how is this going to happen? How are we going to make sure that we're picking, only 8 people? Because originally it was only supposed to be 8 people. And I think, one thing I will say about that is this is our 5th trip. We've done this 5 times. I am increasingly a little bit uneasy about the fact that it's a small group of people, despite a growing number of people wanting to come on our community brand trips. I think people know us as a brand that does community brand trips, and so more people are applying. And as we are doing these community brand trips, more people see that like you don't have to be an influencer, you don't have to post on social media, you don't have to be, have hundreds of thousands of followers to go on these. So I think we're just getting more and more applications. But with that, it makes me uncomfortable because I know that there's going to be more and more people who are disappointed because each brand trip only typically has 8 people. And we've done 5 of them, which means incredibly, by the time we go to Miami, we'll have brought 40 some people on a brand trip. I think that's really incredible for any brand, but for us to have that investment in these experiences for our community is really, really awesome. But that's just 40 people out of a brand that has hundreds of thousands of customers. And so when we talk about wanting to bring every different types of people in our community, we mean that. And it can't just be like one section of our community. It has to be like all different types. And as a brand, we obviously see everyone in our world, everyone in our community, all of our customers, whether you're buying it on our website, you've been a deeply loyal customer for years and years and years, supporting us directly, or you buy us in stores, or we've seen you do a review, or you've sent us an email or something about Alta, like to the people who are posting every single day during our brand trip application time period. We see all different types of people, and I think sometimes that makes me nervous, just being honest, that like, because other people might not see what we see, right? There's no way you would see what we see. So it's hard maybe for people to understand just how big and wide our community is. And so, I'm nervous because I know that these brand trips are amazing. I know they're great experiences. I know they mean a lot to so many people, but I also know that there are some people who are going to get disappointed. I know that we're not possibly going to be able to take people, every single person who's trying really hard to be seen, and trying really hard to go on to be seen to go on a brand trip, right? I know that that might not be a possibility over time, and so it's just something that we're thinking about as a brand, because we certainly don't want to do things to disappoint people, and they have to bring an overwhelming amount of joy in order for us to do it. So yeah, it's the more we see there's disappointment, the more it makes us question, like, okay, is this the right thing? I'm not saying there have been a lot of that, but it's just something that I'm more self-conscious about it than I've actually seen, out there. It's more just I can appreciate and empathize with so many people in our community that are posting all the time, and are disappointed because they really wanted their chance at a brand trip. We are trying to create so many more opportunities, like I think, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but like our free PR mailers that we do 100, or at least 100. We do those every single month. And those are just like free PR mailers. They're totally random lottery driven. So it's not like a one giveaway thing. It's 100 free PR mailers going out every single month, if not more, on launch months. We are doing really cool things in our actual community here in SF when it comes to actually having an impact on those in our city that have a need. And, we always try to provide thoughtful experiences to people that are well rounded and cover everybody in our community. We're getting nonstop requests for product and for activations. And we're still a small team, and we also still have a budget, right? So we're trying to balance all the love that we want to give out with what we can and what is fair and what feels representative for our community. So I don't think we're, doing it perfectly yet. I think we still have a lot of room to grow, but we're certainly working hard to do our best and to be as thoughtful as we possibly can. And I think that's something that, we take a lot of pride in, and that's not just me. It's every single person on the CocoKine team. When we're reviewing applications and customers and posts, we really try to be thoughtful about so many different things. And because we have a lot of different minds in our CocoKine team, it brings different perspectives. And that's really important for us. And everybody on the team is very, very committed and invested in you, our community. So just know that, we might not do things perfectly. Maybe sometimes you might, be disappointed. You might not agree, but, we're always listening to feedback, trying to figure out how we can better and better show up for our community. But I also know that, we certainly put in so much effort, and we really try to be the most community forward brand there could be. So that being said, I want to thank everybody for putting in the effort for our community brand trip and the applications there, because it was so fun. It's like, on one hand, I get anxious about it because I hate to disappoint people, very sensitive to that. On the other hand, like, it's so fun seeing all the applications, all the different notes that we get, and the posts and all of that we're seeing. People are so creative, so fun. And I love the interconnectivity that it brings with other people, where I see that, when we announced who's coming with us to Miami this June, I see that like all these other people in our community are like following them now, commenting in, and it really does bring a community, even for people who are just applying and connecting to each other because you're applying flying to a brand trip and rooting for each other, which is really, really cute. And that's really what it's all about. So for the now 9 people coming to Miami with us, we are so excited about this trip, though. We have a lot of fun things planned, and it's actually going to be the first time where we're kind of launching something on a brand trip, like literally on the brand trip. And so that's going to be a new experience. And because of that, we'll build in some really fun experiences around the launch. At the same time, we've been to Miami before. So it means we get to leverage a lot of the things that we just knew we loved doing, and we get to do it again. So really excited about that. That is happening in early June. So thank you, everybody. And know that we see you no matter what. It's an impossible job that we have to take thousands and thousands of people and applications and those in our community and distill that down to 9 people that, we care about being representative of all different types of people in the Coco Kind universe. And we certainly will have more experiences and more opportunities in the future. How that looks, TBD, we'll see if we continue doing them or not. It's really, we want to look at feedback. And if people continue to be excited about our community brand trips, we will absolutely keep doing them. If it sounds like people aren't excited anymore, then we won't. We'll continue to kind of understand what the overall sentiment is from our community. But I love them, and I hope that we can continue doing them. So we'll see. There's also 2 other things that I wanted to talk about today, because we are about to launch and actually by the time this comes out, I think we will have already launched it, our no filter pledge again. So 3 years ago, we had a pledge called the Bold Enough Pledge, and it was around this beauty filter called Bold Glamour. And this beauty filter was being used just widely throughout social media, and it was completely changing people's faces. And when we were a couple months ago, we were talking to one of the creators in our community, and she was telling us how that pledge, our Bold Enough pledge back then, which said don't use beauty filters, had changed her life because she stopped using beauty filters in her stories and in her content. And it really changed her life in terms of making her feel more comfortable in her skin. And as a team, we were like, wow, like it was an incredible testimonial. And, sometimes we do things and we feel like, oh, that's like old news. People won't get excited about it again. But that was such an amazing testimonial that we had from our friend Tanya that we were like, you know what, like it's been a couple years and we're not just talking about beauty filters anymore. We're talking about AI generated faces, AI altered bodies. We're talking about seeing faces online that are not even recognizable, that are completely AI generated profiles that if you don't look close enough, you might not even notice. We're still talking about beauty filters, and we're talking about content like more than ever that is shaping how we feel about ourselves. And so as a team, we were like, let's bring this back. Let's absolutely bring this back, and let's make it even, it's so relevant today more than ever, and it will continue to be relevant. So instead of it being kind of like this one-off campaign, it's really just a part of our brand. Like we're going to have this no filter pledge. We hope to get over 10,000 signatures from people, and it truly takes like 30 seconds to sign this. And it's basically 3 things. And we are really intentional about what these 3 things are. And we're not trying to make it like hard to do, right? We're trying to make this like a low bar. The first part of the no filter pledge is just not using face altering beauty filters. And we're not talking about like, changing the lighting or, brightening or changing the contrast, right? Or like just like really minor things that you might do in your day-to-day content. We're talking about like face altering things, like changing your face, on Facetune. We're talking about using beauty filters that are shrinking your nose, making your eyes bigger, completely making your skin like almost like a watercolor painting. We're talking about I mean, you know what we're talking about, right? It's the filters that for a second they give you a little bit of dopamine because you're like, wow, I look great. But then after that, you realize that, wait, this is nothing like what I look like. And we're seeing so much of that in different forms, in micro forms, in macro forms. And now people don't even realize when they're seeing a beauty filter. I mean, most people don't. And so that's the first part of this no filter pledge is, of course, not using any face altering beauty filters. The second part is not using AI generated faces or AI altering faces or bodies. Is a lot of talk about AI right now. And I'm still figuring this out as a business leader of like, what's my perspective on AI. Do I think that all AI is bad? No. There's certainly incredible things that can be done on AI. But when it comes to physical appearance, when it comes to content generation and, just things that really are defining beauty in humanity, I think that's an area where we certainly want to draw a line. And part of that is, of course, people using AI to change the way they look or to change the way they're appearing or their bodies are appearing, to the extreme of people having completely AI generated profiles that are out there that are, sometimes recommending products. And you're like, wait, I didn't even realize that this is like not a real person. Most people actually can't identify what is AI generated right now, which is really scary. There's like a AI literacy that needs to be done. I can't even say I'm an expert at that. But what we're asking our community to pledge to is our real person beauty humanity. We want to commit to that. And that means not using AI to change how we look, change how we are showing up online, and making sure that that's just a hard line. I mean, we have to have a hard line somewhere. No AI generated faces and bodies. Then the third part of this, of our no filter pledge, is actually really interesting. And I feel really strongly about this. And it is not negatively commenting on anyone's appearance online. I have been working on social media because of Cococaine for, 11 years. And as somebody who works on social media all day long, shows up on social media. I mean, we have an incredible community, so I feel like I deal with this the tiniest, tiniest, tiniest amount. But certainly, whenever there have been comments about my appearance on social media, it's like really disturbing. Internally, like that feels awful, and you kind of go through this like panic mode. I get all red and hot, and it's really stressful, and it can be really tiny sometimes and really subtle, but it makes you question and not want to show up online and not want to show up, as somebody who is a proponent for like trying to be enough every day. Like it makes me immediately want to like crawl and just like be in a dark corner by myself. And I have so many creator friends of mine who are, just starting out. They're, brand new creators, and they're posting every day, to creators who have millions and millions of followers who might see a comment, and it could be an innocuous comment. It seems like really, really, kind of gentle, but it's about their appearance in a way that makes them feel insecure. And that could change everything for them. They could stop right there and say, I don't want to do this anymore. Or they could decide, I want to start using a filter, or I want to start photoshopping my face on social media because I don't want to have this type of comments. I don't want to be attacked. I don't want to feel insecure about myself, and I'm feeling insecure. So this part of the pledge is really for our creator community. It's for the people who are posting frequently, because we know that they are our influences, right? They're people who are posting every day, who are influencing us, and we want them to feel comfortable. We want to feel comfortable. We want them to feel comfortable so that they can show up online, so that they influence us to show up online. I always think about like Khloe Kardashian. I remember her saying, because she got a lot of shit for, some of her cosmetic procedures. And she's I remember her like sentiment and I don't remember the exact quote, but she's basically like, I got so much hate about my physical appearance. The amount of hate that I've received on my physical appearance online, like, what do you expect me to do? And I don't, while I'm like, yes, I understand that like someone with 100 million followers who's a celebrity has a precedent and has to set a good example for everyone else in terms of being enough. I mean, just realistically, as a human, I also empathize with her because she's like, I've just constantly, for years and years and years and years, all I've seen is like negative comments about my physical appearance. So, what would we expect her to do? Right? What do you expect someone to do if that's what they're seeing online about themselves? It's a really, really crazy experience to have to do that and to subject yourself to that. And I think it's important that we as a community here, we protect people when they are showing up as themselves online and I'll give them the space to do so. And, remember that for some people, showing up online is a job or maybe an aspiring job. Maybe you're wanting to be a content creator, a full time content creator, and you're wanting to make some income on social media. And that requires you to feel comfortable posting every day. And in the same way that no one would come into my workplace, certainly, and say, hey, you look ugly, that's not something we should be saying online. I think sometimes just behind our phones, it can be, people can just feel a little bit more comfortable saying different things and not people in our community. I know people in the Kokokan community would never do this, but it's like, let's influence other people, right? And maybe it's like something really, really benign. Like I remember one time I got a DM from somebody asking me how I feel comfortable going on social media despite having unevenly sized eyes. And I kind of laughed about it because I was like, okay, like I just it seemed silly, it seemed like very like I don't know. I didn't take it too seriously, but of course I was like a little bit uncomfortable by it. And I was like, oh, I didn't not something I really was insecure about before, and now I feel a little bit like, okay, I have to like I asked people in my I was like, okay, like do I look weird in my social media? I kind of thought everybody has unevenly sized eyes. I never noticed it before, but something like that I don't even think was sent to be like rude. I think it was a genuine question, but it still made me feel insecure and it still made me question the next time I showed up on social media. So sometimes they're not like intended to be mean or rude, but it's still commenting on someone's physical appearance that can make people kind of want to retract. And if we want to feel like social media is a safer place for us, we have to make it a safer place and we have to influence others to make it a safe place too. So it's three parts of the pledge: no beauty filters, no AI altering or generated face or bodies, and not negatively commenting on people's appearance. They don't seem like hard asks, right? Like, I think for all of you listening today, you're gonna be like, yeah, obviously that's super easy. I don't even have to question myself, like, check, 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 pledge, right? It seems like that is like a very low bar, but it actually is quite radical right now because the movement of use of these things and the movement of social media and how it's trending is so fast. It is progressing at like the speed of light. So, us actually just taking a moment to set a little bit of a standard for use on social media, I think is actually quite radical. So, like I said, our goal is 10,000 signatures. I think in 2023, I think we had like over 3,000 people who signed our Bold Enough pledge. We're really wanting to add to that to have it be 10,000 plus. And it's something that we're going to keep talking about. It's not a campaign per se, as much as it is just like a brand effort, something we care a lot about that we will continue to care a lot about. So I hope that you will take the pledge with us. I hope that you will share it and make sure that we are all really creating and setting a standard for others in our community, inviting them in, sharing what our beliefs are, being great examples. And we'll see how far it takes us, but really excited about that. And we definitely have aspirations to like bring other brands in the beauty community into this too, and sharing our experiences with other beauty brands and saying, hey, let's not use AI generated faces or AI altering faces. Let's not use filters on ads talking about skincare. Let's also, if we ever were to pay influencers to talk about our products, let's make sure that's in our brief. No use of beauty filters or no use of AI generating face tools. Like, we can do these little things that feel simple, but can actually make a big difference. So, we think that beauty brands have a big role to play in this too. And we definitely want to help set and be an example. So, definitely wanted to come on here and talk about that today because it's certainly a big, big, big brand effort that you will continue to hear us talk about. So, I appreciate all of you for being so deep in it with us. And I know for you all, it's so easy to take this pledge because you already are like beacons and your examples of this on an everyday basis. So really just like keep being you and let's just have more people be influenced by what you're doing and what we're doing. The last thing I wanted to talk today about is actually we are doing something really exciting with two creators in our community. And we talked about this on social already, but more is going to be happening here. We're launching these things called CocoKind Community Care Days. We're starting in San Francisco. So, for those of you who don't know, we live in San Francisco. Most of our team lives in the Bay Area too. I started CocoKind in San Francisco, and it is been a cornerstone of the CocoKind story. When we first started, we were in like a tiny, tiny warehouse outside of South San Francisco. It was like a metal cube. I paid like $120 a month for it. Then we expanded. We were in the basement of this office with no windows in Soma here. We were in various warehouses all around the Soma neighborhood. We then went remote and 100% remote during like the pandemic. And then we've over the past 2 years, we've been in office here. Not everybody in our team lives in the Bay Area, but the majority of people do. And we do have an office here in the Soma or financial district. It's just been a cornerstone of our whole company. It's Bay Area. We are a Bay Area ride or die company. And I've lived here for 11 years, and I think there are like amazing things about the Bay Area. I love San Francisco. It's certainly a city that has dealt with a lot of problems too. And one of the organizations that I've worked with in the past, when I was introduced by my friend Sunita, who is on the board of this organization, it's called Homeless Prenatal Program, and HPP in short. And it's an incredible organization here, extremely well done, that serves over 3,500 families in need or homeless families in the Bay Area. And that's with basically the effort of helping these families become more self-sustaining, whether it's giving food or healthcare or helping to find places like homes. It's a really incredible organization that touches so many parts of these families' lives in order to help them be more self-sustaining. And that is an organization that a couple of years ago we as a brand work with, and we did an event there. And I remember, just trying to spread the word about this in our community. And it felt like a local organization to SF, which, for everybody else on social media, it was just, I think we wanted to like bring more awareness of this organization. But at the same time, it is like a Bay Area organization. So it hits home for those in Northern California, I would say a little bit more. But with our community care days, we are really excited to work with them again. And it's going to be something I will say with our community care days. We're going to evolve. We're going to see how we can make this like a continuous effort. But what it's centering around is working with organizations in places that are important to us or places that are important to our community, which is really everywhere, for families in need. And of course, we have a lot of skincare products that we can give, but we also want to bring awareness to them. We want to bring awareness to their client community that needs help, needs resources. We want to help bring in other brands. So we actually have a bunch of other brands that have signed up right now to provide products because we're trying to organize 500 plus care packages. And we're actually going to have people in our community help us pack those packages. And what was really awesome is that we had two creators in our community, Shelby Ann and Jenny, and these two creators just on their own, because of how much community work we as a brand do, they actually raised their hand and said that they wanted to do this with us. They wanted to do some impact work with us to serve like our local communities. And it's not a paid post. This isn't a sponsored thing or a collab or anything like that. It's just like entities and people coming together to try to do something really, really good. And I said this on TikTok, but I really do want to give a shout out to Shelby Ann and Jenny and their manager Delaney, because they are really trying to do, I think, business in a different way where it's of course there's business, but there's also impact. And I believe in, we're very much aligned in how we think of both of those things and how we can use our resources and platforms to make sure our business has impact. And they're not doing this for anything but just having impact and doing something good. And so both Shelby and Jenny have been helping to get other brands on board, because that's what's really fun. And I know that like it's really easy for influencers to get other brands on board to do something good. And so just having them be faces of the Community Care Day, the first one we're doing in San Francisco, has had a huge impact. And I'm excited to see. I think some of the brands are still signing up right now, but hopefully we'll have a lot to contribute to these gift bags. The items here, they're items that are ranging from like personal care, like cleansers, to things that are more specific, like baby diapers and deodorant. But they're things that the homeless prenatal client community either absolutely need or they really, really want. And because they have so many people come in and out of their buildings that they touch on a daily and weekly basis, that 500 gift bags is actually really, really helpful, but it's going to go quick too. So we also want to think about how we can continuously support. I don't know if our community care days are going to stay local to Northern California, if we're going to, kind of do a rotation all around the country at first. I don't know, but certainly in San Francisco is so meaningful to us. So I think there's so much to do here. And I really love the homeless prenatal program. So I think there's just going to be more and more that we talk about there. And we're really excited about that. So if you're in the Bay Area and if you're going to be one of the people that is helping us pack these packages for homeless prenatal, thank you so much. And I really want to thank Jenny and Shelby Ann for involving themselves in this, for helping us make such a greater impact, because we would have been able to do this by ourselves, but it would have been a much smaller impact. So the fact that we have two people to help amplify what we're doing and bring more brands, more products into what we're donating, that's really, really cool. So more to come from us on that, but we're really excited about that. That's going to be happening at the end of May, actually right before our brand trip. So community, everything that we're doing, it really revolves around like, how do we serve? How do we serve while being a business that has certain constraints and has certain goals, but all revolving around like, let's do the best we can for the community that we're talking to every single day. So that's it for today's podcast. Thank you so, so much. I will have another podcast when we launch our new product that is going to be coming soon. So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, thank you so much. And thank you for always being patient. Thank you for being here. And we love you.